So, well, my name is Andre, as you can read. We can do that in English. We can do that in Portuguese. We can do that in Spanish. All right. So, why I'm here today? It's what I want to tell you. So, I have been very fortunate to work for one of the biggest game changers in the IT industry. I work for this very large virtualization company that has changed the world. And I worked also for a very big storage company that also has been doing very interesting things for a long time. But I also spent a lot of time managing IT infrastructures. I used to manage data centers across Asia Pacific for approximately 50,000 people. And I'll tell you, managing IT infrastructure is not easy. If you have been through a Active Directory consolidation, as an example, I see some heads going down, you know what I'm talking about. If you have been through Exchange migration and consolidation, you know what I'm talking about. It's very hard, and now we see more and more organizations moving into cloud. And so for some workloads, it really makes sense. For other workloads, maybe not. So you see a lot of Exchange servers now moving to Microsoft Office 365. So what I'm going to talk today is a little bit about cloud and how you can deliver the same type of capabilities from public cloud services in your own data centers, on-premise, inside the control of your organization, and I'll tell you why you would want to do that and why not. So clearly, cloud is well underway, right? And some of the things that make cloud very interesting for CIOs and CEOs are depicted here. So a rapid time to market. With cloud, it's very easy to get your services and applications up and running. You slice your credit card there, you put your PayPal account, and there you go. You have a service up and running. It provides you also with fractional consumption, or what we say, pay-as-you-grow model. You only will pay for what you're actively consuming. You're not going to pay for idle servers or idle storage that's not being utilized. So it converts CapEx into OpEx. And that clearly has been playing a big role in our organizations nowadays. One-click simplicity. So you don't have to worry about the underpinnings of the infrastructure with cloud. Somehow they put all together, they automate, but there is servers, there are storage, things that nowadays in your organization you need to worry about. You have a team of people that are dedicated to manage all those different parts of technologies that normally will create also silos of people. So you have the virtualization team, you have the storage team, you have the networking team, instead of having one cohesive team. So it clearly makes sense. And finally, continuous innovation. I mean, when you look at what Amazon is doing, it's really amazing. Every 3 or 4 months, they're releasing a new service. Now they have Internet of Things, as a service. They have database as a service. They have message queue as a service. And they're continually innovating, which is very hard for enterprise IT to manage all that. So those are clearly the reasons why cloud is very interesting for organizations. But cloud, or more specifically AWS and Azure, is not the answer for all types of workloads. What we see is that there are two different typical types of workloads. One is called the elastic workload, or it's called also dynamic, and the other one is predictable. So the elastic workload is that one that you can't predict how it's going to behave. So let's say you're launching an application, a banking application as an example, and you don't know how many users you have on the first day or over time. Eventually, that will become a predictable application or predictable workload that you can move in that other bucket, predictable workloads. Or as an example, NASA with the Mars rover program, when they had that live stream, they just didn't know how many users that would be watching that thing across the globe. So they chose to go to the cloud because it's easy to scale on demand and still only pay for what you use. You don't want to have something like that sitting inside your data center when it's not going to be fully utilized. You just don't know. The problem with elastic and predictable workloads is that while elastic workloads are cost-effective to be in the cloud, predictable workloads, for the most part, and for the companies that we've been talking to, are not. And for large majority of organizations, enterprise organizations like yours, you have predictable workloads for the large majority of the applications. You know they will grow, but they will grow at a certain rate. They will experience certain spikes, but it's everything under control. Now, if you're a large retailer, as an example, and you have a website that you put a lot of things to sell during Christmas time, you might want to have that in the cloud because it's an elastic workload and don't want to have all that infrastructure available the rest of the year to be fully utilized only when you need it that specific week or day. And actually, by the way, this is how Amazon got started. They had a bookshop with a lot of compute that would be able to serve infrastructure for specific times of the year, and they didn't know what to do with all that infrastructure during outside the holiday seasons. So that's how they actually created AWS Cloud, probably 15, 20 years ago. So the ideal scenario here is where you have predictive and dynamic workloads that are able to shift between private and public cloud. And this has been a promise that has been done for many years now. We've been hearing about this for a long time, and no one has mastered yet how to do properly. But what it takes to deliver the same concept of the cloud inside your data center, what we call the enterprise cloud. So first, you need fractional consumption. You need to pay as you grow. Then you need instant delivery. You need to be able to spin up new services and applications and virtual machines on demand when you need with minimal time. Then you need invisible operation like the cloud. You don't manage infrastructure. So your on-premise infrastructure needs to be invisible to you. It needs to work very seamlessly and simple. And you need continuous innovation. You need to be able to update firmware, update BIOS, and all those things that you spend a lot of time to keep the lights on nowadays. But the organizations we talk with also want the ability to choose between owning and renting. So cloud may be an option sometimes, but owning the infrastructure might be the best option at different times. You want to make sure also that you have access to data anytime, but also to have governance, that you know where your data is living. I think this is a big problem, and we know we had the IDC talking this morning about where your data is living, and now apparently EU is getting to a consensus about regulations around the data. And I hear that Microsoft also has something going on here with the Microsoft Cloud in EU. So you need to have control over that data. But you also need to make sure that those applications that require Tier 1 SLA or Tier 1 performance are under control as well. And of course, at the end of the day, you need choice of freedom and no lock-in. You need to be able to move workloads around. You need to be able to choose the type of infrastructure that you want. So those are the things that organizations are looking when they are consuming cloud services. Some of them can be delivered today by public clouds. Others cannot or will make the service to be very expensive. But if we look at how we bring or we harvest all the benefits from AWS or from cloud in your enterprise data center, we would need one first thing is a turnkey infrastructure solution that you don't have to worry about. Something that will learn about your workload and will self-tune itself. We also need integration with data backup, disaster recovery, and seamlessly application mobility. When I talk about application mobility, I'm talking about, yes, you should be able to choose if you want this application or this specific workload living in your data center now or living in the cloud tomorrow, or vice versa. You might want to move things from the cloud on-premise when required. You might have a new regulation, have a new service that you will bring you want to move outside. You have security concerns, and that seems to be one of the big things going on. Although the more I talk to customers, I see security is becoming lesser of a problem in cloud. So here are your choices today. You can go with VMware. VMware brought us virtualization, which is probably one of the most transforming technologies ever built for enterprise data centers. They allow us to have portability of the applications. They allowed us to quickly create new applications in form of VMs, virtual machines. They gave us high availability. All great things. And they also made the servers to be more utilized, right? They help us with consolidation. But it came at a cost. So it's very complex to manage infrastructure. It's very complex. You have all those teams that I mentioned, IT silos, and need to do zoning and masking and virtualization administration. Everything becomes very complex, and now you have other services around that just to help you manage all that infrastructure. The other choice is you go to the cloud. You go to AWS. And honestly, I'll be very honest with you here. That works for many applications, and that works for many organizations. It gives you fractional consumption. It converts CapEx to OpEx. It's the dream for any CEO or CIO or CFO. But in many cases, applications are predictable. So from a cost perspective, you end up being more than actually running inside a data center. And also what we hear from organizations is that the data concern is becoming more prevalent, not from a security perspective, but from a regulation and compliance perspective. So I talked to many healthcare, I didn't know, mentioned I'm responsible for the healthcare vertical and Nutanix, and they don't even think about putting data on the cloud. Not because of security, but because they don't know where the data will live. You know, there are cloud service providers now that will say the data is secure. Now, I'll talk about Nutanix, and I think you love Nutanix because we can give you all the benefits from the cloud, the agility, the fractional consumption, you know, the pay-as-you-grow model, while inside your data center with the data being hosted by you and managed by your team. So what do we need to make that work? First of all, we need full stack infrastructure platform using hyperconvergence. I don't know if you heard of hyperconvergence before. Nutanix changed the market 4 years ago, creating hyperconvergence. We are leading this wave of hyperconvergence, where we bring storage, flash and HDDs together with compute in a single unified solution that is able to scale as you need in a fractional consumption way. It's zero-click operations, so it needs to be invisible to you. You want your team focused on the applications, on things that will deliver to the business and not on keeping the lights on. Instant elastic consumption, which is the fraction way to consume, pay-as-you-grow model. You don't want to have any idle infrastructure in your data center. You want integrated security, and you want the application mobility because, as I mentioned, today application is running on-premise. Tomorrow you might want to run on the cloud, and vice versa. So for those a little bit more technical here, this is going to be interesting. So the traditional infrastructure what I like to call the legacy architecture, has never actually been created to deliver on the cloud promise. It's complex. It doesn't scale. You need to buy upfront a lot of things to make it work. So it doesn't deliver on fractional consumption, and it doesn't bring agility. Well, virtualization brings a little bit of agility, but you can be a lot more agile. So what Nutanix do, we collapsed all that in a unified turnkey appliance that scales as you need on a node-by-node basis. When I say node-by-node, you start with a minimum of 3 nodes that will consume 2 U of a rack. And from there, you can scale this cluster or this unified solution on a node-by-node basis. You only buy for what you need. It's very easy to bring online. You need virtualization on top of that, and then you have your apps. But we went a step further in this journey. We support VMware, and we support Hyper-V, but we also baked our own virtualization solution inside Nutanix that you can manage everything through a single pane of glass. Because managing infrastructure has been very complex. We have a number of different vendors, and they all have different interfaces, and you need people specialized to manage each one of those interfaces, because they all have different terms and different things to be configured. Nutanix brings everything together in an easy-to-use, web-scale, consumer-grade design web solution that you can actually go to our little booth here and see how it works. Very simple and easy. It's intuitive, beautiful, and insightful. And when I say insightful, yes, we have deep analytics baked into the product that I will tell you as an example in how long will it take to run out of storage capacity, how long will it take to run out of compute, how long will it take to run out of memory. So you know before the fact when you need to add another node or another 2 nodes and not spend $500,000 or $1 million or $2 million to buy another entire silo of infrastructure, because that legacy way to consume infrastructure will require you, for the most part of the time, to buy a new silo of infrastructure. So the way Nutanix works is, so you can see here node 1, node 2, and you can go up to any nodes you want. We have standard x86 servers with a baked-in hypervisor, or you can choose your own hypervisor, and you have the CVM, which is the controller VM, and what we create is what's called a distributed storage fabric. So from any node, and this is a truly distributed architecture. It's the same type of technology that Amazon, that Azure, that Facebook and Google are using today. This is a truly distributed architecture. You go to any of the nodes, you point your browser, and you're managing. If you lose 1 node, 2 nodes, you're still managing the entire infrastructure, and everything stays up online. And this is actually one of the major reasons why I have healthcare organizations choosing Nutanix today. Because healthcare, I like to say, they are not mission critical, they are life critical. Without their systems, they don't know even what drugs to give to the patients. Of course, that applies to your organizations too, right? I'm just going to the extremes of the case here. And as you expect, we have all the enterprise-grade features that you would expect from any storage or virtualization solutions, things like clones, compression, tiering, resilience, deduplication, replication, backup, everything. But security has also been one of our major concerns. And we make sure that when we build this product that integrates virtualization, storage, we look holistically on security, from a security perspective. Most of the challenges with security and the problems that organizations have with security are not necessarily with products themselves, but it's about misconfiguration between products. A port that is open that should not be open, something else that has been misconfigured and causes this entire platform, infrastructure platform, to be open for attacks, as an example. So our development life cycle takes in context the security aspect. So we use, during our QA process for every component in the product, we bake in security. And we've been working with the government, North American government, which is one of our biggest customers. And over the years, we achieved all those security certifications that grant us the highest level of security for our platform. But nothing would be perfect in a system that people can change things. And Nutanix will provide you with a self-healing feature. So once you configure the security that you want, if the security deviates, it will automatically heal itself. So if someone changes something around security ports and things like that, Nutanix will auto heal itself. And of course, we have ecosystem partners to add on, micro-segmentation and NFV and a few other features that are required today. We also have this term called App Mobility Fabric, which when I talk about migrating between clouds and public and private, this is the set of features that will enable you to do that. So we have one-click hypervisor conversion where we do everything for you, so you can move from ESX to our own Acropolis hypervisor, or you can do a cross-hypervisor. We have companies and customers doing vSphere for their primary data center, but they want to do DR with something that they don't have to pay around on licensing for vSphere. We do backup to cloud, and on our roadmap, we're going to fully automate DR to cloud as well. So our journey is to completely embed our on-premise enterprise cloud with public clouds of your choice. And that's where we're taking you on this journey. What workloads are customers running? Of course, VDI is a big workload. Citrix, a big partner of ours. But the more and more we see tier 1 or tier 0 workload running on Nutanix. We have banks running on Nutanix, healthcare organizations, hospitals, all types of critical workloads running on Nutanix, and enjoying the resilience of the platform because of the distributed architecture that we have. I only have apparently 2 minutes. Okay, so when you talk about cloud innovation, we also innovate very fast. And here you can see the number of features we have been adding and supporting multiple hypervisors and adding performance feature by feature, release by release, and you see the years. So we're trying to make it very fast. And generally speaking, customers are doing all those upgrades on demand during production time nowadays. We have non-disruptive upgrades for our platform. But not only that, we also do non-disruptive upgrades for BIOS, for firmware, for everything in the platform. We take care of everything. And generally, I talk to customers, say, how often do you do firmware upgrade in your systems? I remember when I was managing IT, I said, well, maybe once a year, because it takes a lot of effort, right, to manage downtimes, even if it's planned downtime. This is gone. You will be able to be on top of your game with your infrastructure with what we call one-click upgrades. From a saving, okay. From a savings perspective, also less power, less cooling than generally speaking traditional infrastructures you'll see. And there is an IDC report that we hire IDC to go and talk to I think 13 or 15 of our customers. And they report that Nutanix, compared to traditional infrastructure, provides 60% in cost reduction, especially when you think that you're not utilizing all that idle infrastructure in your data center. It's, you pay as you grow. Same consumption model you have with the cloud. Have all types of verticals, healthcare, finance, across the globe. And we also have a 24/7, all year round, with a top score on consumer reports that can support you here. And we have our headquarters in Europe is actually in the Netherlands, which makes it even better. So I know it's a lot to take. What I would like to invite you to go to our little booth there, where we can show you the system. We can run a demo for you. And thanks for your time. Thank you.